3.2, mixed number notation. So sometimes we have seen numbers that were improper and we need to convert them to proper form, or a proper fraction and we need to convert it to improper fraction. We're going to talk about how you go from one to the next. So to change mixed numbers to improper fractions, you have a number like 2 3/4. An improper fraction is a number where the number is bigger on the top than it is on the bottom. So like example would be like 10/3. That's an improper fraction. But in this case, it's not this one, so let's practice this one. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a nice big 2 3/4 because I'm going to break it down for each step. The first step is going to be multiply. You're going to multiply the 4 times the 2. That's the first step. And you're going to think to yourself, 4 times 2 is equal to 8. Then you're going to take that number and you're going to add the number that's on top. And that's the second step. And 8 plus 3 gives me 11. You're going to keep the same denominator, and that's step 3. And that's it, you're done. This would be the answer. This is the quick way to do it. The long way to do it would be to take 3/4, so you'd have a brick and you'd split it into fourths, and you'd have 3 of them already shaded, right? And then you'd have to have 2 more of those. So you'd have 1 more set here, and that would be all shaded because you have a hole. And then you'd have another whole set because that's 2. So 1, 2, and then 3/4. Now how many did you shade? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's where 11 out of what you broke it up into fourths comes from. Let's try example 2. I have 4 2/3. I'm going to multiply 4 times 3 to get 12, and 12 plus 2 to get 14, and keep the same denominator, 3. So 14/3 is my answer. Try example 3. I have 5 3/4. 4 times 5 is 20, and then 20 plus 3 is 23 over 4. And we've converted our proper, changed our mixed numbers into an improper fraction. Now we got to go the other way, reverse it. And how do we reverse it? We need to change our improper fractions to mixed numbers. This is really just a division problem, and that's what you need to remember. What I'm asking you to do is 11 divided by 4, and tell me what is left over in a fraction form. So I have 11 divided by 4. That means I have 4 on the outside and 11 on the inside. How many times does 4 go into 11? It goes in 2 times. And 2 times 4 is 8. When I subtract that, I get 3 left over. So right now, we have 2 whole pieces, and then we have 3 parts left over. So you always want to ask yourself, how many times does the denominator go into the numerator? So we're going to say 4 go into 11. And that number 2 becomes my whole number. So that's my whole number. And then how many are left over? And in this case, it's 3 out of, how many did you divide by? Which is the outside number, 4. So 2 3/4 is my answer. What I realized just now is that at the bottom of my page, I have 2 more examples, but they may be on your next page. So you might need a little bit more space to work with them. So let's try the next 2. We have 10/3. I'm going to give us a little bit more space here. So we have 10/3. And in 10/3, we know that 3 goes into 10 how many times? That's what we need to ask ourselves. 3 goes into 10 how many times? It goes in 3 whole times. And 3 times 3 is 9. And when I subtract, I get 1 left over. So the leftovers go on top, 1, and I keep the denominator 3. Let's try 208 over 24. So how many times does 24 go into 208? I know that, and it might not be something you know, but I know that's really close to 4. 24 is close to 25, and I know that there are 8 quarters in $2, so I know that is going to be at least 8. And let's try it. 24 times 8 is 192. I'm going to subtract those. 8 take away 2 is 6. I'm going to borrow. 10 take away 9 is 1. 16 is smaller than 24, so I know I did it right. 8 is my whole number. That means 24 can go into 208 8 times. And I have 16 left over out of 24. In the next example, we're going to use long division, remainers, and mixed numbers to write our final answer. So it's again the same thing that we've been doing, but it's a little bit bigger problem. How many times does 67 go into 1,690? I know 67 doesn't go into 1, it doesn't go into 16, but 67 can go into 169 2 times. And if you're not sure, do your math on the side. 2 times 67 is 134. When I subtract, I get 9 take away 4 is 5, 6 take away 3 is 3. 1 minus 1 is 0. I'm going to bring down the 0. How many times does 67 go into 350? Because this ends in a 0, I would try 5. 5 times 67. And when you do, you get 335. And that's pretty close. So let's subtract and see if it's smaller. We have to borrow. So 10 take away 5 is 5. 4 take away 3 is 1. And 3 minus 3 is 0. I don't have anything left, so this becomes my remainder. And remainers become fractions. So it'll be 15 over 67. So we have 25 wholes So we have 1,690 over 67. And I know that I can get 25 complete sets with 15 left over 67. And that is 3.2 mixed number notation.